Saying that The Last of Us 2 is a divisive game is really putting it lightly. Before and during its release, people on both sides were yelling and screaming at each other online and sending death threats all over a stupid video game. That experience, as well as the leaks and spoilers, ruined the game for a lot of people before the game even came out because they were robbed of context and emotional connection to those spoiled moments. I honestly feel that a lot of people's perspective on this game has been completely warped, and now that I understand the game completely, and also now that the situation is only a DEFCON 1 earthquake and not a nuclear fallout like it was back in 2020, I think it's important to look back at Last of Us Part 2 and analyze it critically and fairly. So first off, it's really crucial to understand why people actually hated the game so much and got so angry. When the game got leaked, those who got the game spoiled for them didn't have the full context of Joel's death scene and weren't aware of where Joel and Ellie's relationship was at, because it wasn't fully revealed until the end of the game. Plenty of people were fine with the fact that Joel dies, because he absolutely had it coming. During his death scene, he even says this.
Why don't you say whatever speech you got rehearsed? Get this over with.
This shows just how many people Joel has hurt since the apocalypse started. When you get down to it, Joel is really a horrible person because he's such a good survivor, to the point where he knew someone was eventually going to come after him. This is the point where he doesn't give a damn what he's done, or who or what his attackers are avenging. He just wants to get it over with. What a lot of people got angry about was how Joel died. These no dweebs tortured him, shot a chunk off his leg, and finished him off with a golf club in front of his brother and daughter. What the fuck do they think they are? Your bitch ass is not Negan. You don't kill our beloved character with the club. Fuck you.
With these emotions in our heads, we are absolutely on the same page as Ellie. We want them all dead and anyone who stands in our way. But people who had Joel's death spoiled for them didn't experience that when they found out about his demise. Another huge reason is because of the ending. Now I'll get into this later, but people felt like their 25-hour experience was a waste of time because Ellie and the player's goal is right there within reach, but yet you still don't achieve it by the end of the game. On top of that, you spend a whole third of the game playing as the person who killed him. For my first playthrough, and for a lot of people, they ran right through Abby's story as fast as possible so they could get back to Ellie and see what happens next in that theater. Another aspect of why people were hating on this game was because Joel was advertised as being in the game a lot more than he was, and people were angry that Joel and Ellie weren't a duo in this game like they were in the first game. You never got to fight alongside him. Now, to be fair, the reason why you don't fight alongside him is tied to the story, and this marketing strategy is quite common, but people were so attached to this character and expected another 15 hours with him. It just kind of felt like the marketing was a case of wrong place, wrong time. I definitely say one of the biggest factors as to why people hated this game and review bombed it so much before it even came out was just blatant bigotry from people who are too insecure to play a game that features a woman with big muscles. Now, I have heard a lot of people give reasonable and valid arguments as to why they don't like the game, and obviously not all people who dislike The Last of Us 2 are bigots, but a lot of people saw there was a trans character and the main character was in a lesbian relationship, and oh, they just about lost their shit.
I don't like representation in my game. 0 out of 10. Kill yourself!
If you do want to see a really good video arguing against The Last of Us 2, I highly recommend you go to Nakey Jakey's channel and check out his Last of Us 2 video. Go find out about the gator under the bed. Now that we're on a roll with the negatives of the game, let's move on from the drama pre-release and go forward into the actual video game. First off, the game is very long and should definitely be played at least twice to fully understand the game. In my case, I'm a bit of a dumbass, and it wasn't until my 4th playthrough where I was showing my mom the story where everything clicked and I began to truly appreciate it. Now, keep in mind, this game is 25 hours long, so it took me around 100 hours of gameplay for it to click in my brain and I could understand the story properly. And not everybody has that kind of time to drop on a video game.
It's time consuming.
My case was especially bad because on my first playthrough, I loved the game. In 2020, I gave it an 8 out of 10, and then the more I've replayed it, and the more the game just sat with me, the more I just gradually began to hate it and hate it more and more, until playthrough number 4, where I'd actually give it a 9 out of 10 now. Another big issue that I have with this game is that it's so set in Ellie's quest for vengeance that they don't ever really overlap hers with Tommy's. I genuinely love Jesse and Dina, but I wish some of the time Tommy was your companion instead of the other two. We barely see those two bond, and I feel like they really should have put emphasis on the brother of the main victim who'd known Joel for decades. It just feels like a missed opportunity. And then of course this part happens. Another big issue for me in this game, personally, is that while I did like Lev and Yara, I just couldn't really get invested in the conflict between the wolves and the scars, especially because I spent a lot of time in Ellie's section slaughtering them. I saw that island on fire and I was like, oh, that's cool. I don't really give a fuck though. On top of that, she's fine, he's pretty cool, he's a loser, she killed Joel, so that's hard to get over. Fuck you, and I wish I got to watch her head get bashed in. But at least she likes Hotline Miami.
It's just Abby's cast is just so much less interesting than the group from Jackson. And that's where I'll use my segue, I guess, to the positives, because how can you not love Ellie, Dina, Joel for a little bit, Jesse, Maria, and the GOAT Buckley? But let's kick it into the undeniable positives. The music is fantastic. My boy Gustavo is back at it again. The graphics are insane and still hold up. It's incredibly accessible. Watch those flashbacks. Going back in time is so innovative. The gameplay is supreme. They added proning. You can be creative with the stealth. You can't tell me beating someone to death doesn't feel good. The animations. Look as I stabbed this guy in the... And then lastly, to finish this video off, I'm really going to focus on the ending and story and say some opinions that argue why the game is as good as I feel it is. Although I am going to start off by saying that I do kind of like the false marketing. In 2018, I was super into Marvel and I was following Avengers Infinity War and watching all the trailers and stuff, and I honestly don't understand why this was such a big deal, but this wasn't. But moving on to the ending and theme of the game, saying the narrative is revenge equals bad is really reductionist. While that is there, it also has layers about chasing something to the point of self-destruction. In Dunkey's latest video at the time of recording this, which is him revisiting Uncharted 4, he actually makes a fantastic point about how Ellie's chase for vengeance is very similar to Nathan Drake's chase for treasure. In both of these fantastic games, we both are lined up exactly with the main characters and want what they want, even though pursuing and possibly obtaining those goals are actively ruining the lives of these characters that we love. Plenty of people, including myself at first, got really pissed off that Ellie didn't actually kill Abby in the end. But I feel like people who are that mad are really just missing the point. To be frank, your time wasn't wasted just because it wasn't the ending that you wanted. I can't speak for everyone, but in my experience, I was almost always on the same page with Ellie. I wanted Abby dead. But now that I've understood the game, I've learned the same lesson that she has, and like her, I've forgiven Abby, a person who brutally ripped away someone very important to me. In Ellie's quest to avenge Joel's death, her whole life falls apart. Jesse is dead. Tommy, her surrogate uncle, can barely walk and loses an eye. The love of her life, Dina, and Dina's child, JJ, leave her and move out of the farm, leaving Ellie just her guitar in the house, which she can't even play anymore. In part 2, through the epilogue and through flashbacks, we're shown that one of the most important things that Ellie and Joel bonded over was playing the guitar, and her quest to avenge Joel's death cost her that too, all for something Joel wouldn't even want in the first place. He knew death was coming for him, and he didn't regret a thing.
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
And it's not like Abby got off scot-free either. Remember that when she avenged her father, she set off Ellie, causing Abby to lose her faction, all of her friends, and led to her being tortured, used as a slave, and later strung up on a pole to die. Honestly, even through my first playthrough, when all I wanted was to drown Abby on that coast, and I was punching and cutting her, practically breaking the square button on my controller, it felt sickening to do that. She's in such a pathetic state at that point in the game, and I didn't want her life to finally end after getting tortured and starved, even after what she did to Joel. In that theater, playing as Abby, fighting Ellie, I had enough hatred for her to let Ellie kill her a few times because I didn't want to win. And at the end of the game, on that shore, I had enough compassion for Abby that I didn't want to win then either. When it's all said and done, Ellie rejects avenging Joel's death, and as if it wasn't bad enough to lose almost everyone she has loved, whether it be Joel, Riley, or Dina, she now faces one of her biggest failures, because after this 25-hour journey, it was all for nothing. Even though she did learn to forgive Joel and his murderer in the process, she lost everything. She faces the fact that it was all for nothing for a second time in her life, but this time, it's all her fault. This plot is just so well rounded off, starting with the moth on Joel's guitar right after the events of the first game, and ending with the moth on Joel's guitar after all the consequences of the first game have played out, the very same moth that Ellie bears on her arm. The story Naughty Dog has created gives Ellie a well-written arc that stems from and drags her through nothing but pain due to her own selfish ambitions, but in the end she finally lets go. She lets Joel live on in her memory. The passage of the guitar is symbolic in a way. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but Joel had softened since his journey across the nation with Ellie, because she broke his guard down. Now that he has that bond with Ellie, he's moved to Jackson and traded his role as a survivor to that of a father. With this change, he then gives her his guitar, and this is bookended at the end of the game, when Ellie lets go of that same guitar, as she is no longer just a survivor seeking vengeance. As they give up the guitar, they each embrace humanity. And to think, this lovingly crafted sequel is branching off and resolves the very last, and maybe most important scene of the first game.
No matter what,
You keep finding something to fight for. Now, I know that's not what you want to hear right now.
Swear to me. Swear to me that everything that you've said about the Fireflies is true.
I swear.
Okay.
I really just want to say thank you guys for making it to the end of this video. This is my first review that I've posted on YouTube, and I'm really proud of it. I've already seen some sections that I can improve on, and I've made like a mental note to, not make those mistakes in the future. I'll try to at least. Please subscribe, like, share, comment what game you want to see me review next. And I will reply to it. I might not do it, but I'll definitely write it down. I have some ideas for like top 10 favorite video games. I'm definitely gonna make a Spider-Man 2 review. But yeah, also just comment what I could improve upon, what you thought of the video. Just let me know how I can improve and what content you'd like to see from me. So once again, thank you, and I'll see you guys next time.